The white gown hangs from Alira's skeletal frame like a burial shroud. She stands barefoot on the wooden platform, the ceremonial silk stained with dirt and dried blood from wounds no one bothered to clean. Around her neck, a silver collar burns against her skin, suppressing her wolf until the creature inside feels like nothing more than a distant memory. The bride market of Thornwick is packed today. Wealthy alphas mill through the crowd, their eyes scanning the merchandise with cold calculation. This is where omegas come to be sold, not as servants or laborers, but as breeding stock. Wives in name only, bodies to be used until they break. The white gowns are tradition, purity for the highest bidder. Alira stopped feeling pure months ago, when raiders burned her village to ash and dragged her screaming from the bodies of everyone she loved. Lot 17, the auctioneer announces, grabbing her arm and yanking her forward. Female Omega, 20 winters old, intact, untouched, certified by the Sanctum healers. He forces her mouth open, displaying her teeth like she is a horse. Strong bones, good hips for breeding. She's a quiet one too. Won't give you trouble. Quiet because they beat the fight out of her. Quiet because screaming never helped. Starting bid, 200 silver. Silence ripples through the crowd. Alira keeps her eyes fixed on her bare feet, watching her own shadow tremble against the wooden planks. She's too thin, someone calls out. Looks half dead already. 100 silver, the auctioneer tries, desperation creeping into his voice. 50, a rough voice cuts through the murmuring. And that's generous. Alira's blood turns to ice. The man who steps forward is massive, with a face like cracked leather and eyes that hold nothing but hunger. His name is Drust, and she has heard the other Omegas whisper about him in the holding cells. The ones he buys never last long. 50 silver from Lord Drust, the auctioneer says. Do I hear 60? No one speaks. Drust's grin reveals yellowed teeth. 30. She's practically a corpse. I'm doing you a favor. The auctioneer's shoulders slump. Sold. 30 silver to Lord Drust. Rough hands grab Alira's arms, guards dragging her toward the platform steps, toward Drust, toward a fate worse than death. Then the world goes still. It starts as a whisper, a ripple of unease spreading through the crowd, then gasps, then silence, and then something deeper, a pressure that makes Alira's chest tight and her wolf stir for the first time in weeks. Power, raw, absolute, and terrifying. The crowd parts like water before a blade, bodies dropping to their knees in waves. Even the guards release their grip, falling prostrate against the wooden platform. Alira looks up. He moves through the chaos like a shadow-given form, tall and broad-shouldered, with dark hair falling across features carved from granite. His eyes are the color of molten amber, burning with an intensity that makes her breath catch. She knows him. Everyone knows him. Kaelin of Blackmoor, the Alpha King. He stops at the base of the platform, those burning eyes fixed on her. My king, Drust stammers, scrambling to his knees. I did not expect. You purchased this Omega. It is not a question. Yes, my king. 30 silver, a fair price for. 500 gold. The words fall like stones into still water. 500 gold. For her, Drust's face cycles through confusion and desperate greed. My king, surely. You dare question me? Drust bows so low his forehead touches the ground. She is yours. Of course she is yours. Kaelin steps onto the platform, and suddenly the space feels impossibly small. He studies her for a long moment. The torn gown, the silver collar, the bruises visible beneath thin silk. You're a healer. His voice carries certainty rather than question. Yes, my lord. She swallows hard. I was trained by the Ashvale elders. Herbs, bone setting, birthing work. Before the raiders came, something flickers across his features. Recognition, perhaps, or memory. Then the guards attempt to lead her toward him, and everything changes. Move, one barks, grabbing her arm roughly. She stumbles on the platform steps, her weakened legs giving out. Strong hands catch her before she hits the ground. Kaelin's hands. He steadies her with surprising gentleness, then turns to the guards with murder in his eyes. You dare handle her like this? The guard goes pale. My king, I only meant to. She belongs to me now. His voice drops to a snarl. He looks down at Alira, at the torn white gown and the dirt and the blood. You're not going anywhere like that. He removes his cloak in one fluid motion and wraps it around her shoulders, the fabric warm from his body and rich with his scent. Pine and steel and something wild that makes her wolf rise from the depths. Fennec. A scarred warrior appears at his side. Bring horses. She rides with me. As they lead her away from the platform, Alira dares to glance back at the Alpha King. He saved her. She does not know why. But for the first time in months, she feels something other than despair. She feels hope. The journey to Blackmoor takes 3 days. Alira rides before the king on his massive black destrier, his arm a solid band around her waist. She should be terrified. Every instinct screams that she should fear this proximity to such power, but exhaustion wins over fear, and somewhere during the first day, she stops fighting to stay rigid and lets herself rest against his chest. He says nothing, simply adjusts his grip and continues riding. The warriors surrounding them are less accommodating. "The king's new pet," one mutters. 500 gold for a half-dead Omega. Has he lost his mind? Careful. He'll hear you. Let him. We don't coddle weakness in Blackmoor. We destroy it. By the second day, her body begins failing. The weeks of starvation have taken their toll, and even sitting upright becomes impossible. She slumps against Kaelin's chest, barely conscious. "She's slowing us down," the first warrior complains. "We should leave her." Alira waits for Cradle to agree, to abandon her like everyone else. Instead, his arm tightens around her waist. "We stop for the night. Make camp here. My king. We're only hours from the citadel." I said we stop. That night, Cradle carries her to a tent himself. When a servant brings broth, he holds the bowl to her lips, patient as she struggles to swallow. "Why?" she whispers. "Why did you buy me?" His amber eyes study her face in the firelight. "Rest," he says finally. "We'll speak when you're stronger." It is not an answer, but the gentleness in his hands speaks louder than words. They reach Blackmoor Citadel on the third evening. The fortress rises from the mountainside like a fang of black stone, all sharp angles and towering spires. Warriors drill in the courtyards below, their movements precise and brutal. "Welcome to Blackmoor," Fennec says as they pass through the gates. "Try not to die." The courtyard confirms her fears. Warriors spar with real weapons, drawing real blood. Young wolves are beaten for showing hesitation. Servants move with hunched shoulders and downcast eyes. No one smiles. No one laughs. Cradle dismounts and lifts her down, setting her on her feet with that same surprising gentleness. But before she can find her balance, a voice cuts through the courtyard. "Nephew." The single word carries poison. Alira turns to find a tall warrior approaching. So similar to Cradle they could be brothers separated by 20 winters. But where Cailin's features hold hardness, this man's face is carved from cruelty itself. "Uncle Soren." Cailin's voice holds careful neutrality. "Word reached us of your purchase. 500 gold for a half-starved Omega." Soren's pale gaze slides to Alira. What possible use is this creature to Blackmoor? She is a healer, trained by the Ashvale elders. Something flickers across Soren's face. Contempt, but also something darker. "A healer," he repeats. "You brought a healer to Blackmoor." "I did." "Healing is weakness, nephew. Our strength comes from suffering, from proving ourselves against pain itself." His voice rises, carrying to the watching warriors. Blackmoor was not built on softness. It was built on bones. Enough. The single word carries Cailin's full authority. "She is mine. What I do with my property is not your concern." The two men stare at each other. Finally, Soren bows his head. "As you say, my king." He turns away, but his parting words float back like poison smoke. "I pray you know what you've brought into our home." A stern-faced woman appears at Alira's elbow. "I am Marin. I oversee the household servants." Her grip is firm as she guides Alira toward the entrance. "That was Lord Soren, the king's uncle. If you value your life, you'll pray he forgets you exist." Alira looks back one final time. Caitlin still stands in the courtyard, deep in tense conversation with his uncle. She doesn't know where she fits in this conflict. She only knows she's standing in the middle of it. 4 weeks pass in the citadel, and Alira learns to survive. She scrubs floors until her hands crack. She carries water until her shoulders scream. She keeps her eyes down, her voice soft, her healing gift locked away like a shameful secret, but she cannot stop seeing. A young warrior limps through the corridors, his ankle clearly broken. An older servant hides festering burns beneath her sleeves. Children train until they collapse, then are beaten for collapsing. The suffering is everywhere, and no one helps. "Don't," Marin warns when she catches Alira staring at a guard whose sword handshakes from infection. "Whatever you're thinking, don't. His hand will rot if it's not treated. He could die. Then he dies strong. That's what matters here." Alira bites her tongue, but the injustice burns in her chest. The breaking point comes on a frostbright morning. She's carrying linens across the training yard when she hears the scream. High and young and terrible. A boy, no more than 10 winters, lies crumpled on frozen ground. His arm bends in 3 places it shouldn't, white bone visible through torn flesh. The warriors watch with cold disinterest. "Get up," the training master orders. Pain is weakness leaving the body. The boy tries. His small face twists with agony as he attempts to rise, but the movement jostles his destroyed limb, and he screams again. Pathetic. The training master draws back his foot to kick him. Something in Alira shatters. She moves without thinking, throwing herself between the boot and the boy. Stop. The word rings across the courtyard. The training master stares with disbelief that transforms to rage. You dare. He's a child with a compound fracture. He needs help, not punishment. He needs to learn. The training master's hand closes around her arm. And so do you, Omega. My place is healing. The words come from somewhere deep. That's why I was brought here. She kneels beside the boy, and warmth floods her palms. Power she hasn't used in months surges through her and into the broken body. She feels bone knitting, flesh sealing, blood vessels reconnecting. The boy's screams fade to silence as the pain disappears. When she finishes, his arm is whole. Perfect. The courtyard is utterly silent. Abomination. The training master snarls. You've corrupted the boy. I saved his life. His life was not yours to save. He raises his hand to strike. Enough. The voice comes from the balcony above. Kaelin stands at the railing, watching with an intensity that makes Alira's breath catch. My king. The training master bows. This Omega defied our traditions. She must be punished. Kaelin descends slowly, his gaze never leaving Alira's face. She should look away. She should bow and beg forgiveness. Instead, she lifts her chin and meets his eyes directly. The boy was dying, she says clearly. I made a choice. You made a choice that was not yours to make. Then punish me, but don't tell me I was wrong. The courtyard holds its breath. The boy would have died, Kaelin says finally, addressing the watching warriors. A dead warrior serves no purpose. A healed warrior can train again tomorrow. He looks back at Alira. The Omega acted within reason. My king, Soren's voice cuts across the courtyard. You cannot allow this. She undermines everything we've built. I allow what I choose to allow, uncle. Do not forget who rules here. Soren bows stiffly. As you say, my king. He walks away, but the look he throws Alira promises this is far from over. As Fennec leads her toward the citadel, she catches Kaelin glancing back, just for a moment. And in that moment, she sees something unexpected. Pride. 3 days pass in tense silence. Alira performs her duties as usual, but the citadel feels different. Warriors watch with wary curiosity. Servants whisper when she passes. She healed Bram. Did you see? The king allowed it. What does that mean? Soren is furious. This won't end well. The summons comes after evening meal. A guard appears at her chamber door. The king wishes to see you. Alone. Alira's heart hammers as she follows him through corridors she's never walked. Up winding stairs to the highest tower. The guard stops before massive oak doors. Through there, the chamber beyond steals her breath. A fire roars in a hearth large enough to stand in, casting shadows across rich tapestries. The room is warm in a way the rest of the citadel isn't. Kaelin stands by a tall window, staring at moonlit mountains. Close the door. She obeys, her bare feet silent on stone. Without armor and authority, he looks almost human. The tension in his shoulders, the weariness in his posture. You wanted to see me, my king. Kaelin. He turns to face her. When we're alone, you may call me Kaelin. The intimacy makes her chest tight. Kaelin. He gestures to a chair by the fire. Sit, please. She perches on the edge, acutely aware of him moving to stand before the hearth. Flames paint shadows across his face. What you did in the courtyard was dangerous. I know. Do you? His eyes find hers. You defied centuries of tradition. You made my uncle look weak. You gave hope to people taught that hope is poison. And that was wrong? No. His voice drops. That's what terrifies me. He turns back to the fire. I wasn't born in Blackmoor. My family lived in the Eastern Valleys, a small territory, peaceful. My father believed in mercy. My mother was a healer. Alira's breath catches. I was 12 when the raiders came. They'd heard about my father's philosophy, that he refused to kill prisoners, that he saw strength in kindness. A bitter laugh escapes him. They called it weakness, and they proved it. Kaelin. They killed everyone. My parents, my siblings. I survived because my uncle found me hiding. His voice goes flat. He took me in, trained me, taught me that my parents died because they were soft, that mercy was a disease. He falls silent. Alira sees the boy beneath the king, a child who watched everything burn. So I became hard. I conquered. I killed. I made Blackmoor into something so terrifying no raider would dare attack us. He meets her eyes, and I told myself it was worth it. But you bought me. A healer. Yes. Why? He crosses the space between them and kneels before her chair. Because I'm tired. Alira. The words crack like ice breaking. Tired of watching children beaten for falling. Tired of burying warriors who died from wounds that should have healed. Tired of being the monster my uncle made me. His hand hovers near her cheek. When I saw you at that auction, broken and starving and still burning with something that refused to die, I didn't buy a healer. I bought hope. Mercy isn't weakness. She catches his hand and presses it to her cheek. It's strength that doesn't need to prove itself through cruelty. Something raw flashes across his features. For a moment, he's not the Alpha King, just a man alone with pain too long. Then his expression shudders, and he pulls away. My uncle won't accept this. What you are threatens everything he believes. Are you warning me about him or for him? Both. He rises, putting distance between them. Be careful, Alira. Use your gift only when lives are truly at stake. The dismissal is clear. She moves toward the door, but at the threshold, she pauses. Kaelin, your mother, was she a good healer? Silence stretches. The best I ever knew. His voice is rough. Until you. Alira slips through the door before he can see the tears in her eyes. The days following their conversation feel charged with invisible lightning. Alira moves through her duties with heightened awareness, feeling Kaelin's presence even when she cannot see him. Sometimes she catches him watching from a doorway before he turns away. Other times, she finds small kindnesses waiting. Extra bread, a warmer blanket, new shoes. He never acknowledges these gifts. She never mentions them. But Soren notices everything. His pale gaze follows her through the citadel like a predator tracking prey. He never threatens directly. He simply watches. You need to be invisible, Marin warns. Whatever the king feels for you, it won't matter if Soren decides you're a threat. The second defiance comes without warning. A hunting party returns at dusk, bloody from an encounter with a rival pack. One warrior is carried on a stretcher, his chest torn open by claws. Alira sees the blood pumping from wounds too deep, sees the resignation in the eyes of those carrying him. They're taking him somewhere to die. Don't, Fennec says, appearing at her side. I know what you're thinking. He'll be dead within the hour. Then he dies with honor. Your way is murder dressed in tradition. She pushes past him, running toward the stretcher with warmth already gathering in her palms. Put him down. Now. Someone obeys. Her focus narrows to the destruction before her. Punctured lung, severed arteries, cracked ribs. Worse than the boy's arm. But she refuses to let him die. Golden light sinks into torn flesh and shattered bone. She forces his heart to steady, drains blood from his lung, burns away death's cold fingers. When she surfaces, gasping, the warrior is breathing easily, alive. The courtyard erupts. Some warriors cheer, dropping to their knees with tears on battle-hardened faces. Others recoil in horror. And through it all, Soren's voice rises. Abomination. She corrupts our strongest with her weakness. She saved his life, Fennec says, stepping forward. Tormund would be dead without her. Tormund should be dead. Enough. Kaelin stands at the citadel entrance, dusty from the road. The Omega acted correctly. She defies you again. Nephew. As many times as she saves lives that matter to this pack, Kaelin's gaze finds Alira's. Tormund is irreplaceable. His experience cannot be replaced by his death. The Omega acted against everything we stand for. Then perhaps what we stand for needs examination. Soren staggers back. You've changed. She's changed you. Do not speak of my parents. Someone must, before you repeat their mistakes. A messenger bursts through the gates. My king, the eastern border. Raiders have broken through. The personal conflict evaporates. Kaelin transforms into a king at war. Full mobilization. Every able fighter rides within the hour. His eyes find Alira's. Fennec, you stay. Protect what matters. Then he's gone. Soren lingers, his gaze burning into Alira. Enjoy your victory, little healer. It won't last. The king's absence stretches into weeks. At first, the citadel feels like a held breath. But as days pass, something unexpected grows. People start coming to Alira. It begins with servants. A kitchen girl with burns. An elderly steward whose joints ache. A stable hand with cracked ribs. She heals them all, quietly, in shadowed corners. Word spreads. More people come. Warriors' wives, children, even young fighters bold enough to risk tradition. The citadel begins to change. Laughter echoes in corridors that have only known silence. Children play in courtyards that have only seen blood. Music drifts from the great hall. You're performing miracles, Marin says one night. It's just treating people like they matter. In Blackmoor that is a miracle. But at night, alone, she thinks only of him. Is he safe? Will he return pleased or furious? Does he think of her at all? The answer comes 3 weeks later. War horns shatter the silence. Alira runs toward the main gate. Kaelin rides through alone, armor dented and dark with blood. Behind him, warriors carry stretchers bearing countless wounded. and on the largest stretcher lies Soren, pale as death. "Alira!" Kalen's voice cracks with desperation. "Where is the healer?" "I'm here." "What happened?" "Ambush. Silver weapons. Poison." His hands grip her shoulders, trembling. "My uncle took a blade meant for me. He's dying." She looks at Soren. Gray skin, black veins spreading from his wound. "Please." Kalen's voice breaks. "I know what he is, but he's my family. He's all I have left. Get him inside. Hot water, clean linens, moonflower root." She doesn't promise success, but she will try. For him, the healing takes 17 hours. Alira works through dawn and dusk and dawn again, her hands glowing so brightly they leave after images. Silver poison is unlike anything she's fought alive, resisting her power, spreading faster than she can burn it away. Kalen stays the entire time. He doesn't speak. He simply sits in the corner, watching with hollow eyes. Sometimes she catches him praying in the old tongue, prayers his mother must have taught him. Around the 15th hour, her strength begins failing. "I can't." She staggers, and suddenly Kalen is there, catching her. "The poison is too deep. I need more power than I have. Use mine." She blinks up at him. "I've heard of this. Healers drawing strength from others." His jaw tightens. "Take what you need, whatever it costs. That could kill you. Then don't take too much." His hands cup her face. "I trust you, Alira. With my life. With his." Something cracks open in her chest. She presses her palm against his heart and opens herself, creating a bridge between his strength and her gift. Power floods through her like lightning. Not just physical strength, his will, his determination, the fierce protective love he still holds for his uncle. Raw and overwhelming and beautiful. She channels it all into Soren's broken body. The poison fights back. She burns through it systematically, purging every black vein. Tissue regenerates. The gray pallor fades. When she withdraws, both she and Kalen collapse beside the bed. "It's done," she whispers. "He'll live." Kalen's arms wrap around her, pulling her against his chest. She feels his heart pounding, still racing from what they've shared. "Thank you." She should pull away, remember her place. Instead, she burrows closer, breathing in smoke and steel. They stay like that until dawn. Soren wakes at midday, his pale eyes flutter open, confusion giving way to recognition as he sees his healed skin. Then those eyes find Alira. "You." No gratitude, only fury. "Uncle." Kalen moves to the bedside. "The healer saved your life. Then you should have let it end. That poison was the only reason you're breathing." "I don't want to breathe." Soren struggles upright. "Every warrior who saw this will know I survived because of Omega magic. My authority is destroyed. Your authority was built on suffering that never needed to exist." Silence crashes through the room. "What did you say?" Soren's voice is dangerously quiet. "I said what we've built here is wrong. The cruelty you dressed as strength, it was never necessary. My mother knew that. My father knew that. Your parents were weak. My parents were murdered by monsters. That doesn't make their values wrong." Soren stares at him. Then his gaze slides to Alira. Not just hatred, recognition, decision. "I see what she's done to you. She's done nothing except show me another way. She's done everything." Soren's smile is terrible. "But I won't fight you. You're the king. The surrender is too easy." Alira wants to warn Kalen, to scream that Soren is planning something. But Kalen strides from the room before she can speak. "You should have let me die, little healer." Soren's voice follows her toward the door. "It would have been kinder, especially for you." The week following Soren's recovery passes in suffocating tension. On the surface, nothing changes. Soren moves through the citadel with careful courtesy, never challenging his nephew publicly. He even thanks Alira once, in front of witnesses. But underneath, something coils like a serpent. Kalen withdraws. He still watches her from doorways, still ensures she receives extra rations. But the intimacy of that night in the healing chamber seems to haunt him. He never seeks her out privately. "He's protecting you," Fennec tells her, "by keeping distance." Soren watches everything. "I wish he'd tell me himself. He's not good at words." Fennec hesitates. "But I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you." The words warm her, even as they terrify her, because she loves him. Not the Alpha King. She loves Kalen, the man who carries his mother's prayers in his heart, who knelt before her and admitted he was tired. She loves him, and loving him might destroy them both. The summons comes at midnight. A guard she doesn't recognize appears at her door. "The king requests your presence. Urgent healing required." "Where?" "The lower chambers. A training accident." Something feels wrong. His posture too tense, his voice too flat. But if someone is dying, she cannot refuse. She follows him through corridors that grow darker with each turn. Downstairs she's never descended, into parts of the citadel that smell of stone and old pain. How much farther? Just here. He opens a heavy iron door. The chamber beyond is circular, lit by guttering torches. Empty. No injured warrior. Just chains bolted to the floor. Alira spins to flee, but hands seize her from behind. Guards drag her toward the chains. Scream all you want, little healer. Soren steps from the shadows. No one can hear you down here. The king will know. He'll come for me. Will he? Soren circles as guards lock manacles around her wrists. The evidence I've prepared is convincing. A servant saw you flee at midnight. Another found your cloak by the northern cliffs. He smiles. Suicide, they'll say. He won't believe it. He might not want to, but wanting and believing are different. He draws a blade from his belt. I considered making this slow, but I lack the patience. He raises the knife. Goodbye, little healer. The chamber door explodes inward. Kalen storms through like vengeance given form, his burning gaze taking in the scene. Behind him, Fennec and a dozen warriors pour in, weapons drawn. Uncle, step away from her. How did you know? Because I know you. Kalen advances slowly. Did you think I wouldn't have her watched? She's corrupted you. She's healed me. From wounds you inflicted. Soren's pale eyes flick between them, calculation giving way to desperation. If I can't save you from yourself, I'll save Blackmore from you both. He lunges, not at Elira, at Kalen. The blade finds the gap in the king's armor. Kalen grunts but doesn't fall. His hand closes around his uncle's throat. You should have stayed dead. His claws extend. Kalen, don't! Too late. The king's hand punches through his uncle's chest. Soren's eyes go wide, then dim. His body crumples. Kalen turns to face her. Blood flows freely from his wound. Too much. The blade was poisoned. Elira, he breathes, taking one step before his legs give out. No! She strains against the chains. Get me free. The blade was poisoned. Warriors scramble to unlock her manacles. She throws herself beside him, pressing her palms to his wound. But after channeling power into Soren, after weeks of healing everyone who came to her, she has nothing left. Stay with me. She presses her forehead to his chest. Please. I can't lose you. His hand finds hers, grip weak. Worth it, he whispers. You're worth it. His eyes flutter closed. Alira refuses to let him go. Warriors carry Kalen to his chambers while she stumbles alongside, one hand pressed to his wound. Clear the room, she orders. The door closes. She's alone with him and the death creeping through his veins. The poison is different from Soren's, slower, crueler. She can feel it spreading like ink through water, and she has nothing left. No, she whispers. This is not how our story ends. She reaches deep, past exhaustion, past fear, past every wall she's built. She finds something at her core, not power, not magic, love. Raw, terrifying love for this broken king who saw value in her when no one else would, who wrapped her in his cloak, who trusted her with his life. Love, she discovers, is its own kind of power. Golden light erupts from her palms, brighter than anything she's channeled. It's everything she is, poured into his failing body. The poison fights back. She fights harder. His heart stutters. She commands it to beat. His lungs fill with fluid. She burns it away. His soul begins to drift. She pulls it back. You don't get to leave, she sobs. You don't get to save me and then disappear. His hand moves, weak, trembling. His fingers close around hers. Alira, you came back. Couldn't leave you. You almost died. Worth it. He tries to smile. Already told you. Don't say that. Your life isn't worth less than mine. Not what I meant. He turns his head, pressing a kiss to her palm. Meant you're worth fighting for. Worth changing for. The words shatter something inside her. I've loved you since the auction block, he whispers. Since I saw you standing there, half-starved and still burning. I didn't understand then. Thought I was recognizing your value as a healer. He laughs weakly. Took me too long to realize I was recognizing my mate. Mate. You can't mean that. I'm an Omega. Property you bought. You're the woman who saved my soul. He struggles upright. You're my mate, if you'll have me. She kisses him before she can finish. Not gentle, desperate and fierce, tasting like tears and survival. His arms wrap around her, and she goes willingly. When they break apart, his forehead rests against hers. Is that a yes? 1,000 yeses. He laughs, free and warm. I love you, she says. I love the king and the man and the boy who lost everything and still found room for hope. I love you too, my healer, my hope, my heart. Outside, dawn breaks over the mountains. A new beginning. Spring returns to Blackmore. The training yards still ring with weapons, but instructors help fallen students rise. Warriors fight to protect rather than dominate. Alira moves through the citadel she loves, her hand resting on the swell of her belly. Everywhere she looks, she sees transformation. Children laugh in corridors. Music drifts from the great hall. The healing chambers near the training grounds are never empty. The pack that once prided itself on suffering now prides itself on different strength. Kaelin finds her in the garden she's planted near the eastern tower. The northern territories want to establish healing houses, he says, wrapping his arms around her. They're asking us to train their people. What did you tell them? That my queen would consider it. After she's done growing our heir? The words still make her breath catch. Your mother would be proud. She would have loved you. He turns her to face him. Everything good in me, that's their legacy. And yours. He kisses her, gentle and full of promise. Above them, the Blackmore banner ripples in spring breeze. The same black wolf on silver field, not a symbol of fear anymore. A symbol of hope.